Well, greetings, everybody. Christmas is over. No more tearing open the packages. No more cooking the big old meals. By the way, this is my Meerschaum Falcon bowl. Maybe you can see it a little bit better there if I hide there. And I'm smoking some Cajun cake from Cornell and Deal. Cajun cake from Cornell and Deal. Pretty good stuff. Well, I just thought I'd come on here just for a few minutes and just tell you a little story about me when I was a teenager. My dad's church organization he belonged to was called the Baptist Bible Fellowship, and they had a youth camp out on Lake Texoma down by Denison, Texas. That's really where I learned to work. He'd take me out there and he'd give me a yo-yo. Now, I don't know if y'all know what a yo-yo is, but the yo-yo I'm talking about was on a long stick, long blade like this, and you swung that sucker back and forth like that to cut the weeds. And he'd take me all the way down to the end of a fence row, and he'd say, I'll be back at noon, and that'd be about 7 o'clock in the morning. He said, I'll be back at noon, pick you up and go eat. And I'd start all the way down, and I'd start cutting weeds and cut weeds all the way down that fence, all the way to the gate to go into the camp. And about that time it'd be noontime, and he'd come pick me up. We'd go get something to eat. Then I'd go back in and go on the other side of that fence, and I'd come all the way back down. So that's where I learned to work. And I learned to drive a tractor before I learned to drive a car. Well, I was I was always one that honored my father, honored him, loved him dearly. And he was the caretaker, the manager of that camp. Now, we had a caretaker who lived out on the camp, and I spent a lot of time out there with them. But when it come time for camp, which was usually about 2 weeks after school was out for the summer, the camp would hold 1,500 people. And so uh, when it was getting close time for camp, well, then it was his job to get everything ready for the camp. We had to go do all the ordering of the food, do all the ordering of all the snacks, all the drinks, to fill up the concession stand, and and all the goodies that was supposed to be sold there, and we had to get the dining rooms ready, had to get the kitchen ready. Uh, just a bunch of stuff we had to do. And this one year, I guess I was about 14 years old and wild as a buck, I guess you'd say. And he had contacted a chip company to come out there and supply our chips for us for the concession stand. Well, he called the same company he always called. Didn't hear nothing from him. Trying to burn myself up here. And he kept calling them and kept calling them. When it come up pretty close to time for the camp to start, he called another company. Well, they come right out and they stocked up the concession stand and whole 9 yards. Well, then a few days later, that company he'd been calling, they never did call him back, never did contact him in any way at all. They showed up out at the camp, and I was out there with the son of the caretaker, and we were out putting out trash barrels all over the camp, and so I was driving the tractor. Well, all of a sudden I saw that guy get out of his truck, and all of a sudden I heard him just start cussing my dad up one side and down the other. And my dad was just trying to tell him. He said, well, we never heard from you, and we had to have a product in here, so I called another company. Well, boy, he was just a stomping, and I mean, he was having a fit. And he just kept it up and kept it up and kept it up and kept cussing my dad. And I told Wayne, he was the caretaker's son, I said, you need to get off the tractor. He said, why? I said, just get off the tractor. He got off the tractor. I put that tractor in high gear and took off. Well, when I got up there and my dad looked and he seen me a coming, I mean, I was pretty close to him. And he seen me a coming, he jumped out of the way. Mac McAden, who was the cook, saw me and he jumped the other way. And I hit that old boy with that tractor. He flew in the air and flew right into a mud puddle, because it'd been raining for about 4 days. Flew right into a mud puddle. I got that tractor stopped, and he finally got up. Of course, his face was covered with mud, everything. He was just pitiful. Pitiful looking from the word go. And spitting and sputtering and said, I'm going to sue, I'm going to sue. I said, let me tell you something, fella. I don't know who you are. I don't know what you are. But I said, you did something you ain't never allowed to do, and that's to curse my dad. I said, now I'll whip you from here to yonder, and I'll take you and I'll bury you out there in them woods if you ever come back here and cuss my daddy again. He couldn't wait to get out of there. Old Mac McAden, the cook, he's standing back over, he's just a hee-hawing, just a laughing, just couldn't hardly hold it to stand up, he was laughing so hard. My dad said to me, he said, now son, he said, I appreciate you wanting to take up for me, but he said, now, this is not the way to do it. Mac said, well, I don't know why, it looked like it worked to me. And I said, well, ain't nobody going to cuss you in front of me. I said, now, if I ain't around and I don't hear it, I don't know it. But I said, if they cuss you in front of me, I said, they're going to answer to me. I said, now, you're my daddy. And that was about the end of it. We never did hear from him again. But did you know that the next year he was the first guy to call and want to put products in that concession stand, and we let him. We let him because he had good products, Frito products, every kind of potato chip you could think of, every kind of chips, other stuff. We let him do it. So it was just something that had to be done, I thought. Of course, when I look back on it, it's a wonder I didn't get thrown in jail, even though I was just a young one. And of course, there was another time that I was on that tractor and I was down by the lake, and the girls were down there swimming, and this fella come up the shoreline there, and he grabbed one of the girls and literally was trying to pull her off into some big tall brush, and everybody started screaming. Well, that didn't stop it. Well, I looked up and I saw this happening, so I took off on that tractor, boy, and when I got close to him, he turned her loose and started running, but I run him down. I said, somebody go get me some help. I said, this guy's going to jail. And he said, I'm going to kill you. I said, your luckiest day in the world is to do that, son. I said, you move and I'll run you over again. I said, you just stand right there where you're at. You move and I'll run you down. And so they come down and they heard the story, and they called the police. And police come out there and they took him away. And one of the preachers there said, said one thing about it. Said, people better watch what they do around this camp around here. Old JD will run them over. Well, that's enough of that stuff. I hope everybody had a good Christmas. Hope you got all the goodies you wanted, and all the especially the people here on YTPC. I hope you got all the pipes you wanted, got all the tobacco you wanted, and pipe racks, and I'm working on a pipe rack, and when I get it done, I'll show it to you. And if you're interested in it, I'll make you a deal on it, because I make these and sell them, and I've never done it on here, and I don't want to use this as a platform. But this is an unusual one, and I saw one like it, and I said, well, I can just build that thing. They wanted $300 for it. I said, I can go build that and have it free. And so now I've made pipe stands that holds 12 pipes, front and back. Front, one tier on the bottom, one tier on the top. Made them in a circular motion like that holds 8 pipes, and then I made one that's turns, holds 12 pipes, and then I've made some that holds just 2 pipes, and I made a metal one that I don't really care for it, but I made it. It holds 4 pipes. And then I got a couple of them that I made like boxes, and you put the pipes on each side of it. And but anyway, I enjoy doing that kind of thing. It gives me something to do, stuck in this chair, can't get up and go build nothing. I'd like to, 'cause I love to build. But anyway, I hope that everybody's doing okay, and that everybody's feeling good, and I just hope that everything goes well with everybody. And we got a new year coming up. I'm now 3/4 of a year old, of a century old. Turned 75 this year, December the 11th. Never thought I'd make it to this age. God's been good. God's been gracious. And so anyway, y'all take care of yourselves. May the good Lord watch over you. May the good Lord supply your every need, take care of every circumstance in your life. And until I see you again, however you want to say it, sayonara. Bye-bye.